Nobody has time to go all over the world trying to get the best buy on all their groceries. What we need is a little shortcut every once in a while letting us know who has the best prices. In today's video, I'm sharing the prices on 20 common items that I'm using to compare my two most often visited grocery stores. Stick around to the end and I will share with you who has the better prices and where you might want to shop. So we're all trying to stretch our dollars as much as possible. And one of the key things that we're spending money on as a nation is food, the things that we eat, whether that be eating out, money in the grocery store, money in restaurants, all of those things. We need to be able to save as much money as possible because it costs a lot to live right now. Today, I am sharing a recent little research project that I took on that I thought you might be interested in hearing the results of. Now, in the past, way in the past, I did all of my grocery shopping at Walmart. It was the most convenient place because there were so many things that I could get in the store at the same time. But as my husband says, if there's not a Walmart, then that will save us tons of money because that's where all of our money goes. So when Aldi first started to show up and pop up in the area that we were living in at the time, I fell in love with it because it is simple, no frills. It was even way simpler then than it is now because some of the decor has changed up a little bit, but still items are basically put on shelves in boxes and it's just kept super simple. You even need a quarter to retrieve a grocery cart. It could be a little confusing for someone who visits the store the first time. However, the little things that they do to cut corners and to encourage people to return shopping carts have helped to make the store very economical. So when I first started shopping there, probably 10 or 12 years ago, I was excited to see that the major benefit that I was seeing from it is that I was saving about 25 to 30% on my grocery bill compared to what I was spending at Walmart before. A lot of things have changed over time. I think Walmart has done a lot of things to kind of clean up their act. Maybe Aldi is not the super cheapest always. There are occasionally times that I find items at Walmart that are actually cheaper than they are at Aldi. So I thought, let's just do a little deeper dive and look at some of the prices of things that I buy commonly and just compare apples to apples and see where I really do need to be spending my money. So I have picked 20 items that are common items that I purchase and I think most people do purchase as well. And I'm going to go side by side and compare those. I'll let you know who came out on top and how much I was able to save. So the first item is a large package of boneless, skinless chicken breasts. This is probably one of today's most commonly used staple in preparing budget recipes. Most everybody likes chicken breast, and it's a very, very versatile meat. It's good for sheet pan recipes, for stir fries, and also as a meat in a lot of different soups. In both stores, they typically carry about a 5 to 6 pound package. So the price per pound on those were at Walmart, $2.57 per pound. At Aldi, it was $2.49 per pound. So a little bit cheaper at Aldi versus Walmart. But to me, the overall amazing thing was the difference between chicken prices and ground beef prices. Ground beef, this is a package that's like 85% lean and 15% fat. For a 1 pound package at Walmart was $6.22 for the pound versus Aldi being $6.59 per pound. So a little bit cheaper at Walmart there, a little surprising. To me, the thing that is super surprising is the fact that ground beef is more than twice the price of chicken breast. That's crazy. The next thing I buy at least a dozen of every week is eggs. Eggs are a perfect breakfast food as well as a main ingredient in a lot of baking. At Walmart, I found the regular dozen of large eggs to be $1.97. And Aldi this week actually experienced a price drop and they were $1.39. So in the past, years ago, when we used to be able to get eggs for less than $1. I started to notice a pattern at Aldi where there would be eggs for, say, 49 cents a pound one week. The next week it would be back up to like $1 or $1.25. And then a week or so later, it would be 49 cents again. So I figured out what the pattern was and then learned that on the weeks that the eggs were 49 cents a pound, I would buy like 2 or 3 dozen so that I would have enough for the weeks when the prices were up. And then typically the price would fall back down again. I'm wondering if we might be going into that kind of a pattern again, but time will tell and we will see. The next item on our list is whole milk. Now I'm looking at the price for a gallon because it can be used for so many different things, not only for drinking, but as well in recipes, dressings, gravies, sauces, all the things. So a gallon of milk is very useful. At Walmart, I found the gallon to be $3.50 currently, and at Aldi, $3.25. So a little bit of a savings there at Aldi. Butter. We go through a lot of butter at our house, and I only buy stick butter, just plain butter. No, not even salt added to it, but the salted versus the unsalted, the prices tend to be the same at both Aldi and at Walmart. The price was $3.67 for a 1 pound package of butter, and at Aldi, that same package was $3.29. So a little bit of a savings there at Aldi. The next thing that I buy a lot of and utilize a lot in recipes because it's a great way for stretching any kind of soup or chili or sauce. It's a great side, and that is simple long grain white rice. Now here I had to extrapolate just a little bit because Walmart has a 2 pound bag of their white rice, where Aldi it was a 3 pound bag. So looking at both, just trying to find a price per 2 pounds. At Walmart, it was $1.77 for a 2 pound bag. And if I divided the price up correctly, $2.95 for a 3 pound bag at Aldi comes out to $1.97 for a 2 pound bag. So in that case, Walmart came out a little bit ahead. The next thing that we buy a lot of too is dried beans. So I'm looking at dried pinto beans because pintos tend to be the least expensive of all the dried beans available, although they're all very economical. At Walmart, for a 1 pound bag of dry pinto beans, it was only $1. I know that has been a recent price drop. I'm not sure if it has been in the past few weeks. It seems like it was a little bit more than that when I checked a few weeks ago when I did another video on Walmart rollbacks. So if you want to check that out, I will connect it at the end of this video. At Aldi, the price for a 2 pound bag of pinto beans would be $2.15. So per pound, that comes out to be $1.08. So very, very close, but Walmart, tiny bit cheaper. Then oats, another really good staple, great for making oatmeal for breakfast, for making granolas, for making cookies, and a great way to stretch meat as well. If you're making meatloaf recipes, some call for oats or different kinds of things, but lots of different ways that you can use oats. A 42-ounce container, which is the most economical way to buy it. Don't buy the instant packets with seasonings already in it because it's just such a small amount. You can fill many more bellies with the traditional oats that's not flavored yet. At Walmart, that container of oats is $4.18. And at Aldi, the same container would be $4.55. I do think this was the price online, but I do think in our local Aldi, they were actually under $4. The next item is frozen mixed veggies, something that you can simply use in a lot of different recipes, like a shepherd's pie or a stew, or just a simple side dish. So at Walmart, a 12-ounce bag of mixed vegetables is going to be 98 cents. At Aldi, that same size 12-ounce bag of mixed vegetables is going to cost you $1.09. So it's seeming like Walmart is doing pretty good here. Next, let's look at some cheese. We buy a lot of cheese and use it in a lot of recipes around here. And I prefer to buy cheese in the small 8-ounce blocks because A, it's a really good price, And B, pre-shredded cheese is going to be coated in something that keeps it from clumping together. You definitely don't want that in your food if you can avoid it. So it only takes a few seconds to shred up what you need for a recipe. And typically for me, it seems to melt better than the pre-shredded. So in looking at cheddar cheese, which basically all the varieties of cheeses at both Walmart and at Aldi seem to be all one standard price. At Walmart, that's $1.87. And at Aldi, that is $1.99. So now let's look at some seasonal produce. Sweet potatoes are very popular this time of year. So sweet potatoes can be baked, they can be mashed, they can turn into fries, tons of different ways that you can prepare them. And the really neat thing about sweet potatoes is that you can go sweet or you can go savory with them. So there's a lot of versatility there. At Walmart, currently their sweet potatoes are 77 cents per pound. And at Aldi, they're only available in a 3-pound bag, which is $1.95, and that comes out to 65 cents per pound. Butternut squash is another fall favorite, and this is also another very versatile vegetable because it can be roasted, it can be pureed, and it can be used in a soup. Lots of ways you can use butternut squash. Currently at Walmart, their butternut squash is $3.17 a pound, and at Aldi, $3.29 a pound. The next vegetable is Brussels sprouts. Now, don't knock it until you try it because Brussels sprouts have become one of my very favorite vegetables, and I could not stand to touch them as a kid. Now that I've learned different ways to prepare them, it completely changes the game. Don't boil your Brussels sprouts. Pan fry them, sear them, roast them, toast them, or even toss them in a salad, but do not boil them. So the price per pound at Walmart is currently $3.17 versus Aldi's $3.29. So again, we're very close there. Let's go on to something sweet. How about some mandarin oranges? These have always been super popular in our family for a snack. I love a mandarin orange. These make great snacks and also as a salad topper. At Walmart, a 3-pound bag is currently about $3.97, where at Aldi, the same 3-pound bag is about $3.59. So Aldi's coming out a little bit on top right there. And then we have bananas. Now, what toddler does not love bananas? I think most of us have grown up eating bananas. It's like the universal lunch. Either an apple or a banana is the perfect accompaniment for a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. But they're also very useful for puddings, for muffins, for snack cakes, as well as just a plain simple peanut butter and banana sandwich. Currently, bananas at our local Walmart are about 20 cents per pound, and at Aldi, they're actually 16 cents a pound. So you cannot beat that for some natural sugars and a great way to buy yourself a little healthy treat. And the last fruit we're going to look at is the Gala apples. These are both in 3-pound bags, and they're perfect for snacking, for baking. Galas are just a really good versatile apple, so you can make desserts out of it or just eat it by itself. At Walmart, a 3-pound bag of Gala apples is going to cost you $2.67. And at Aldi, that same 3-pound bag is going to cost you $2.49. Then let's look at some of the holiday splurges. Who can get through the holidays without multiple bricks of cream cheese? I know it's a favorite in a lot of the recipes that we have, both savory and sweet. So let's look at cream cheese. At Walmart, $1.56 will get you an 8-ounce block of cream cheese. And at Aldi, $1.65 will get you that same 8-ounce block. Then let's look at some pumpkin puree. Not pumpkin pie filling, but pumpkin puree, just plain, in a 15-ounce can. At Walmart, that can is going to cost you $1.16, and that's a recent rollback item. And at Aldi, that same can of pumpkin puree is going to cost you $1.09. Then moving on to some more treats. Pecans are definitely my favorite nut and a great addition to tons of recipes, as well as the center of attraction in a pecan pie. Pecan. How do you say it? In the South, we're in Alabama, so we say pecan. At Walmart, a 1-pound bag of either pecan halves or pecan pieces, it's going to cost you $10.86. Where at Aldi, they only have 8-ounce packages. So 2 8-ounce packages would end up costing you $7.70. So that is quite a savings right there. So the last item I have on my 20-item list is chicken stock or chicken broth in a 32-ounce carton. This is going to be used in lots of soups, sauces, there are multiple ways you can use it, and it's something that you definitely want to keep on hand if you don't make your own at home, which you can do very easily. It's always great to have backup cartons just sitting in your cupboard. At Walmart, that 32-ounce carton is going to cost you $1.50. At Aldi, that same carton of chicken broth is going to cost you 99 cents. So, what's the tally? Overall, if we were to buy all of these items in the quantities that I have mentioned here, our Walmart total would be $55.13, and our Aldi total would be $50.19. So that is a bit of a difference, not tremendously huge, but that gives us a difference of $4.94, which is about a 9% savings. So, should you shop at Walmart or should you shop at Aldi? Well, a lot goes into that. Price is huge, and it does look like Aldi is still coming out on top for the list of items that I shop for. However, there are a lot of other things to be considered when you're making choices as to where you're going to shop. If you have other items that you need to pick up as well, Aldi does not have a pharmacy, where Walmart does have a pharmacy. There are a few over-the-counter medications and supplements, but just a few at Aldi. So if you need a variety, then you're going to find that at Walmart. Also, overall, if you need a lot of variety in the items that you're choosing or very particular brands, Walmart is going to be most likely the place to find that, but Aldi is going to be the place that you have to make fewer decisions. Decision making does cause fatigue. The fewer decisions that you have to make, if you can just choose between a name brand and a no-name brand, or just have one simple choice, it makes it a lot less stressful. So there is the danger of shopping at Walmart and ending up with more things than were on your list and overspending as well. In Aldi, there's also what our family calls the ooh aisle, which is where all of the great finds are, which are a lot of things aside from groceries that can be convenient, but also you could find yourself buying things that you didn't really need or weren't really on your list. So my main encouragement is, whether you're shopping at Walmart or if you're shopping at Aldi, to go in with a list, to know what you're buying and stick to the list. And great tip for someone who is shopping with a small child, give them the list and let them be the one that marks the items off the list, because it won't be long before you pick up something to put in your shopping cart and your son says, "Mom, is that on the list? Is it?" So friend, there you have my most recent attempt at keeping up with the prices in the stores that I'm shopping, so that I'm making wise decisions about where I go when I have limited amount of time and I'm not able to go from one place to another to find the best prices on things. I hope that you find that helpful. If you're new here and we've not met, my name is Hope, so welcome to the Savvy Saver. If you'd like more information and more of these videos, please subscribe. If you're looking for a community of people that are looking to feed themselves and feed their families healthier and on a budget, then the Savvy Saver Collective is a community on the school platform, which is where we are talking about and sharing recipes and sharing encouragement along the way. Come join us. You may just find some sweet fellowship and a couple of cool recipes. That's it for today, friend. Until the next video, you have a blessed day, and maybe in the meantime, check out this video here.